first start applying materials in SketchUp, you may find that you're not really completely satisfied with SketchUp's default materials. No kidding. Well, you might just want to at least modify them, like maybe just change the color, or maybe you want to change the scale of the material, or maybe you just want to add new materials of your own. So that's what this video is going to show you how to do. So I decided to update the look of my space from the previous video, and if you saw that previous video, you can understand why. But all I did was I added a raised floor with a couple steps. I turned that into concrete, and then I'm also adding wood flooring in the rest of the space. Now I like this wood floor, but I do want to change the color. I think gray would be a little bit more telling with the concrete floor, but I also want to change the size of these wood slabs. I want them a little bit bigger. So to change materials, first you have to apply the material. And don't do what I just did. Remember that you always have to edit the group. So grab that wall and edit group. And now you can see that I can select individual things, and that's how I know that I'm in the right place. So again, just apply that finish. And once you apply that finish, that gives you the opportunity to start editing it. So come over here to the materials panel and you'll see there's an edit tab. Click on that edit tab and it drops down some information that we can use to modify this material. So the first thing is the color, and you guys probably see the color wheel. That's usually what it defaults to. I personally like working in the RGB. I'm a Photoshop Illustrator person and I understand how to work with these sliding formulas. So I do want to change this into gray, and so I know that if I use the same number on RG and B that I will get a gray color. So I'm just going to go with 200 on all three of these. And you'll see that the flooring turned a perfect gray, and it goes really well with my concrete floor, which makes me happy. So that's how you can update the color of a texture, and you guys can play with this as much as you want. If you ever want to reset the color back to the original, all you have to do is come down here and click on this button that says Reset Color. Once you do, you'll see that it goes right back to where it was. And again, I don't want that, so I'm just going to put these all back on 200. I probably could have done undo, but that's alright. And now I've got my gray floor. Awesome. Now, to change the scale of what this pattern looks like, that's what this little area is for. And so what I'm going to do is, like, let's say I want the wood slabs to be twice the size. I'm going to take this 10 foot and I'm going to type 20 foot, enter, and you'll see that it updated that floor right away. So now it's bigger, it's larger, it's got more of the look that I was going for. Now, if you didn't notice, the 4 foot that was down here also updated when I went to 20 foot, so it also doubled in size. And that's because there's this little chain here that says that it's going to lock or unlock the aspect ratio. So whatever you change these to, they're going to update the other. If you ever want to take that out, just click on that little chain and you'll break it. And now you can update these individually and they won't update with each other. So for instance, if I wanted to do 15 foot here, you can see how that changes the look. So these are all things to play with, things to kind of explore and how they are actually changing the material. But I'm going to go ahead and relink those two together so that when I update one, it updates the other. The other option that you have is to play with the opacity. So remember, when something is 100% opacity, it means you cannot see through it. So things like glass, you can decide if you want the glass to be more opaque, where you can't really see things, or how clear you want the glass to be. That's also something that you can play with down here in the edit. And really that's all there is to editing a material. So let's say that you want to add a new material. So for instance, I have this great wall here, and when you're standing outside, it's an opportunity to put something really fun for people to kind of catch their eye when they're looking in. So I went and found a pattern that I liked, and it's like an optical illusion, and I thought that would make a really cool mural on the wall. All I did was I went to Google and I searched for it and I found it and I saved that picture in this little folder right here. So just make sure that when you guys look for your own materials that you know exactly where you're placing them. I actually like to make a file that is specifically for materials of my project. That way they're all in the same place and I don't have to hunt for where I saved them. To add this pattern into SketchUp, all you have to do is go to the materials panel and find the create material button. It looks like a square block with a plus sign. Go ahead and click on that and this little window pops up. Don't worry too much about the thumbnail, we're going to get that updated. But for right now, let's just rename this material. I'm just going to call it Optical Illusion. And this works great for if you're adding like pictures to the wall, murals, any kind of pattern, wallpaper, textured wall pattern that you find. This works really great. So I renamed it. And now I'm going to upload the picture, and we do that right here. See where it says that there's a JPEG associated with it? That's where you upload your file photo. So I'm going to click on this little folder to browse for material image file. And mine pops up right away, but you might have to go hunting on your computer to find where you saved your pattern. Simply click on the pattern itself, click open, and you'll see that it updates right here. Now I could go ahead and change colors or the scale or the opacity if I wanted to, but honestly I just want to see what it's going to look like once I put it on the wall, and then I can adjust it. So I'm going to click OK. Now you'll see that this updated. I am in edit mode, edit group mode, because you can see the dashed line. So that means that I can just go ahead and paint that picture right on this wall. La! Wow, that looks pretty cool, except that you can see how SketchUp is taking that picture and multiplying it in a grid pattern. That way, if you have a seamless texture, you can play with the scale a little bit better. But obviously, I need to make some adjustments here. To adjust the position of a texture or a photo that you found, simply right-click on that in the model, go down to Texture, and choose Position. Now you can see how SketchUp is taking that picture and like making a grid pattern out of it. But you can actually click and drag and you can reposition this picture on the wall. So you have to look for those little dashed lines and align them or overlap as best you can. But you can see that this particular pattern still is not big enough to fit on this wall. I'm just going to click off of that, and you can see that it goes back to this mode, and you can see how I can still see the repeat line happening right here. So that's where I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to play with the scale. So we're going to do 30 feet, enter, and again we see the repeat, so I'm going to come back to Texture and Position. Oh, that still wasn't quite big enough because I can still see a repeat right here, so let's try 35 feet. Texture, Position. There we go. Now I'm covering all the aspects, and then I can just decide where I want that little optical illusion, how I want it to look. So let's do something kind of like that. Click off, and you'll see how it put that pattern in. So that's a really great way to play with scale, is to also be able to position it in the place that you want it to. The best place to find like materials that you add, because when we came over here, I mean, it was asphalt, it was brick, it was all that kind of stuff, but there is something called in model, and that's basically all the materials that you're working with that are in your model. So anything that you've actually placed into the model is going to show here. So there's some colors that are associated with the door and windows. There was some colors associated with that wood flooring. There's the glass. So there's all the materials. So they just kind of keep adding up as you come in here. So just check it out and know that if you need to work with that material again, just go to In Model in this little scroll bar area. And really, that's all there is to working with materials. So again, if you have like a canvas picture that you want to add like a Monet to, all you do is you just build out the canvas and then you use the materials upload a photo of a Monet picture and then adjust it on that canvas.